Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Celeste Amaya. I am an integrative internal medicine physician. I incorporate and have been incorporating a lot of Eastern methods into my Western traditional training. Really, it all started in brief with patients coming to me after they had been on a lot of medications, had done a lot of testing, and they were basically not feeling that they were thriving. So I began to do education and research on my own, and really brought into something I call meridian access therapy, which is based on EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and tapping. So later on in this particular installment, I'm going to go over briefly how to do all the points. Feel free to extend the time. And through preparation work with the meridian, I usually go into a sitting period, which is the meditation. So I will go over that with you. I wanted to kind of touch upon something about meditation itself. During this whole week, I realized that the same questions were coming to me as many years back, and it's about sitting. What is sitting still? What does that mean? What does meditation mean? A lot of times meditation we see, in posters and pictures of programs where someone is sitting a certain way, or they're chanting a certain om, or their hands or fingers are placed a certain way in the middle of a room. And a lot of people said to me, well, I have really a bad back and I really can't do that. What can I do? Should I sit against the floor? Against the wall? The floor is really uncomfortable, and so on. And so I actually learned the meditation very basically from Kyle Cease, who is a Comedy Central comedian turned motivational speaker, personal growth author, and instructor. And he's been doing it for many years. I frequently refer to him and I reference him in my newsletter. So if you have some time, check out my free weekly newsletter. It's also called the same name as the series here, Physician Healer. It is free. Feel free to read it. If it calls to you, you find something meaningful, share it with your friends, other loved ones. Click the like, comment what you liked about it, how it has helped improve your life, and share and subscribe. And so same thing here. I'll just do a brief little shout out. If you like what you have seen here on my YouTube series, which I just started, please click the like, give me a little heart, comment, share, and be sure to click the little bell so you get alerted every time I have a new episode coming in, and subscribe. Thank you. There's my plug. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit more about sitting. The frequent questions that come up is, I can't sit still, or yeah, I meditate, I hike or a bike when I meditate. And I actually have to tell them, and again, this is from my point of view, everyone's going to be a little bit different, but just take away what you want to take away from this. I can only share with you my personal experience and my journey for obvious reasons. So I tell them, well, remember, when you're hiking or walking, swimming, even cleaning the house, a lot of people find that very relaxing because you're not really thinking, but it's not what I would call actual meditation. Meditation for me, it's about sitting still and offering a period of immobility for the mind and for the body. You have to remember very basically, if you're hiking, let's say in the woods, you can't really be effectively meditating because the brain does have a job to do. It has to keep you from falling into potholes, animals, running into trees, that sort of thing. You have to pay attention when you're walking. But if you're sitting very still on a chair, on a comfortable sofa, you're really not doing anything except just sitting. So the mind at that point begins to unwind, and it begins to flow with things that probably most of us don't want to see. We don't want to hear it. It's the chatter. So you'll hear and see things about yesterday, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You'll go into the future. Oh, this is due and that's due. Oh, I've got to call so-and-so. Oh, I've got to pay that bill. Oh, I've got a whole list of shopping I have to do. And that's where your mind goes, and it's okay. So one of the major questions I'm always asked is, how do I sit still when these things are coming and it's really noisy and I can't clear my mind? And I say to them, well, your job is not to clear the mind. Your mind will do it on its own. Your mind and your body work very closely together. Your job is to simply sit still. And one of the best analogies that I had gotten from Kyle Cease was that if you pretend that you're the sky and the thoughts and the imagery are clouds that are just flowing by, it's easy to see that the sky does not interfere with the flowing of the clouds coming by. Also remember, whatever thoughts you're harboring in the mind, they're not yours. Even though it seems like they're coming from your mind and your brain, they're not yours. Things that come and go don't belong to you. The things that don't come and go that belong to you are, let's say, your limbs, your arm, your shoulder, your arm, your legs. You can't, attach and detach them. Most of us can't. And so these belong to us, but the thoughts don't. They're just things that are there. And when you're sitting still, and the second thing is when you're lying still, and that's why a lot of people can't sleep and they have insomnia, is because that's when the mind begins to purge. So look at it this way. It's trash and it's garbage that's trying to clear. Your mind, your body, they're trying to clear the noise and the clutter so you can receive more things. Another analogy is I tell people, if your brain is like a room and it's filled with all these boxes and you're storing all this stuff in there and you're receiving new packages, from the postal, from UPS, from FedEx, what have you, you don't even have room to open them, you don't have room to store them. And so you begin to be very flustered, angry sometimes, that you don't know what to do with these packages, you don't know what's in them. And it's the same thing that's translated in our daily lives. If we have too much going on in here, we can't think straight, we can't focus, and something that normally takes us 15 minutes to do takes us 5 hours to do. So we're not able to triage, we're not able to prioritize and streamline. We also tend to get very snippy, we take things personally, we're not able to see that, what their behavior, other people's conversations to us may not have anything to do with us, but everything to do with them, and we're not able to see that, so we begin to react. That in turn increases the inflammatory hormone within our system. Most people have heard about it, the cortisol levels. It's your fight or flight stress hormone that is released from the adrenal glands during times of stress. That then in turn causes inflammation that goes through the entire body. And from there, most of the diseases are either begun or they're exacerbated by that. So the key day-to-day to navigate is to keep the stress levels low, as consistently as possible. It's not possible to smile all the time. I'm not asking people to do that. That's not realistic. And it's really not something that enhances our day-to-day lives. We have to have our ups and downs and we work through that. But it's sort of to be able to recognize when something isn't right and our body's feeling a certain way, we go ahead and have some tools in our tote bag, in our armament to use so that we can quickly figure out what this is and let it release. Not forcefully push it out, but let it release on its own. So sitting requires that you're immobile, you allow the mind to do whatever. You're free to be curious, you're free to follow the thought or the imagery, the words, whatever it is, but you are not to interfere. Your job is not to bring yourself back to the present moment. That's the other question. I don't know how to bring myself back to the present moment because I'm listening to your words. I say to them, let your mind, let your body do all those things. Your job is to simply sit still and just be a passive observer. And the other thing is that a lot of times when you're sitting still and the trash is moving away, that trauma, when it moves away, allows freedom of the electrical current, if you will, forms of energy within the body to become more fluid, to flow freely through the body. So there is a period of unstuckness that you go through. So I'm going to go ahead and first of all talk a little bit about this lovely lady that I took care of about a couple of years ago. She hadn't really told me the full story. But she was unable to sit still because every time she sat still and she closed her eyes, she would replay the car accident. And that was all she said. It was like a bad car accident. She didn't want to really see that again. And I said to her, well, I wonder how many copies of that you made. For every copy that you make, that's a memory, and that is stored in the body. What a lot of people don't remember, and I've come to realize just through many years of working with the patients, is that memory isn't just housed in the brain. Memory is actually in every cell of every body. And so when people say to me, well, that happened a long time ago, or I'm retired now, and although my job was stressful, I'm retired and I don't have that stress to live with, but I don't understand why I'm still anxious. I don't understand why I'm still fidgeting. And I basically say to them, well, you might have retired and you're no longer in your job, but do you have amnesia? Do you not remember the stress from before? Well, of course not. Of course I don't have amnesia. Of course I remember, but I'm not actively going through that. And I say to them, but what you don't understand is you first have to purge that stress. You purge the memory stress. And that's something that's very new for a lot of patients. But the method of using the meridian, EFT, tapping, however you've learned it, however you've done your research and looked for this, it is something that allows alignment and unification with the mind, the body, and the spirit together. These three elements, when they join and they connect, just allow the body to purge everything that's heavy, everything that's stressful or potentially stressful and anxiety provoking. This allows the body then to heal very, very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and go through all the points. One of the major questions to me is, where are all the points? How fast do I tap and for how long? This is open to subjective. Obviously, you can go as long as you want. You can go as short a period of time as you have allowed time. But I normally say to people, do about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Definitely do 10 or 15 minutes before you go into a sitting period where you're meditating. I use this also as an induction into meditation. I find that when I do a certain period of time of meridian therapy, I'm able to feel a very comfortable heaviness that comes on. It's almost in that alpha meditative state, a very suggestible state, and I go into a relaxed mode, which helps me then to sit comfortably for the next hour, 2 hours, however long. I have told people who have asked me, how long do you actually meditate every day? I do try to do 2 hours. I don't often do it all at once unless I have free time. On the weekends, in the evenings, sometimes I'll have 2 hours, sometimes more. And it just helps me clear my mind without actively clearing my mind. And I'm able to focus and deal with stress a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and go through all the points that I've used. There are many points out there. If you go into different tutorials, there are points in the fingers, points down the legs, and so on. These are the ones that I've used most frequently and for many, many years, and I use it in my practice when I'm doing the meridian treatment sessions on the patients. So go in any order that you would want to. I will just go into the order that was presented to me when I learned this. There's the blade of the hand, which is right in here. They also call it the judo or karate chop. And basically, you can do it any way. You can use your fists, you can use your fingers. I just basically, this is how fast I go. And again, if this is too slow, I think most people would agree. This is too fast. Because if I can start feeling exerting my muscles, that's going to be a little bit too much. So it's basically a wrist motion that's really, really gentle and very comfortable. Then I usually go into the chest point. Again, I've gone over this with you in previous YouTube videos. There is a notch or a dip right in here. It spans from this area towards the breastbone, under the collarbone. And here's the sternum or the breastbone. So you can actually just do this one at a time, switch off. You can do unilateral, contralateral, or at the same time. Some people cross and they do this, whatever's comfortable for you. And this is as fast as I go. And again, this will be as slow as you can go. That would help you. And this is probably as fast as you can go comfortably without feeling that you're exerting your muscles. The next point is called the eyebrow, and here's your forehead. Here's where the eyebrow begins, the eyebrow ends, for most of us. So you would go right in here, 2, 3 fingers, it doesn't matter, whatever's comfortable. And it is the bony structure, it's your eye socket. So it's right here, and this is as fast as I normally go. That's comfortable for me. Corner of the eye, again, is the bone. Don't go into the soft temple. That's where your temporal artery is. You don't want to bounce off of that. It's your bone structure right in here. The socket is the corner of the eye. You can do 2, you can do 3. Sometimes I just use these fingers. Sometimes I use these 2. It just depends however you're comfortable with, okay? So there's no definite way to do this. Under the eye or at the cheekbone, right in here, you know, however is comfortable for you. It's the same on the other side. So if I were doing 2, I can use 3 and 4, 2 and 3, corner of the eye, cheekbone. Okay, so you can do it any way that's comfortable for you. Under the nose, where you grow your mustache, right in here, you can alternate, giving yourself some different pressure points and feelings, sensations. Under the lower lip, where the guys grow their soul patch, there's a dip right in here. This is also called the chin point. Here, doesn't matter which hand, both sides, alternating, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then what you have is top of the head, which is not the forehead, it's not the back, it's right in here. So you can tap very gently here, you can use fingers here, you can use both hands, go like this, you can do one going like this with your fingers up and down, back and forth. It's just this area here. This is like a little rectangle here. And then you have the side, which is the rib cage. So comfortably for us adults, just place one arm over the shoulder. This arm goes underneath very comfortably as if you're hugging yourself, and definitely just kind of relax into it. And it's very easy. The position is correct. It's very, very comfortable. The arm goes on this way when you're doing this side. Very comfortable. Again, this is the rib cage, right underneath the armpit. You're basically hugging yourself. And then what I frequently do is I will end at the chest point, simply because it's a wide berth and it's a big area to actually access. So I sometimes will just kind of move around in a circle. Sometimes I'll just go still, right in one location. Sometimes I'll go further in, further up.